There is a silence that comes before death, a silence no one can explain. But what if, in that silence, you heard voices calling your name? Daniel had reached the edge of life. Doctors had given up. His body was failing, but his soul was only beginning its journey. Daniel had barely opened his eyes when the sound of the world faded. His last breath slipped away, and in that moment he found himself standing in a great darkness, staring at his own body lying lifeless below. Shaken, he whispered, "Is this me? Am I dead?" A voice, gentle but urgent, called out, "Daniel, the journey has only begun." He turned in fear. The darkness stirred with shapes and whispers. Some cried out with grief. Others whispered secrets too faint to understand. He was no longer bound to the world of men. He had stepped into the valley between life and eternity, a place where the voices of the living and the dead mingled. Suddenly, two figures appeared before him. One, cloaked in shadows, with eyes that burned like embers, said, "Come with me, Daniel. Your life is over. There is nothing more for you." But the other figure, radiant and calm, extended a hand and said, "Do not fear. The king has not forgotten your name." Daniel trembled. Around him the voices grew louder. Some screamed accusations. "Liar! Coward! Sinner!" Others cried for mercy and forgiveness. Desperate, Daniel cried, "Who are you? What is happening to me?" The radiant figure gave no answer. Instead, Daniel was pulled into a rushing current of light and shadow. Faces flashed before him, his mother praying for him, the mistakes he tried to bury, the kindness he gave in secret, the betrayals he never confessed. All of it came rushing upon him in a flood of memory. Daniel fell to his knees, covering his ears as the voices thundered in his mind. "Stop! Please! Stop!" he cried. And then, silence. Ahead, a distant light began to grow brighter, filling him with both peace and holy fear. And in that moment, Daniel realized this journey was not about death. It was about who he would meet at the end of the voices. But the voices were only the beginning. What Daniel saw next would shake the heavens and reveal a truth no man returns to tell. Daniel stood trembling in the vast darkness, the glow ahead of him growing brighter with each breath. The silence was heavy, broken only by faint echoes of voices. Some wept, some wailed, some sang songs of hope. Every voice seemed to come from a soul caught between two worlds. He whispered to himself, "Where am I?" A whisper answered, "You are in the passage of souls. Few who enter here ever return." Daniel turned and saw shapes drifting past him, men, women, children, some radiant with peace, others twisted with sorrow. Their eyes told stories without words. Some reached upward as if pulled by invisible hands, while others were dragged down by chains that rattled in the unseen. Daniel's chest tightened. "What is happening to them?" he cried. A voice replied from the shadows, "They are weighed. Every secret, every hidden thought, every deed is brought forth here. The soul cannot hide what it once buried." Daniel fell silent, as memories returned to him, times when he mocked prayer, when he turned away from God, when he lived for himself. The weight of it pressed on him like a mountain. Suddenly, the air shifted. A chilling wind rose, carrying with it whispers that turned into screams. From the abyss before him emerged dark figures, towering shadows with hollow faces, their voices like thunder. "Daniel!" one of them hissed. "You belong to us. Your sins are written against you. Every lie, every hidden lust, every rebellion. You are ours." Fear shook Daniel. No, this cannot be," Daniel stammered. The ground beneath his feet trembled, and chains shot out from the shadows, wrapping around his arms and legs. He was dragged toward the abyss, the voices of the damned crying out with him. He struggled, crying, "Help me, somebody help me!" And then, in the midst of the chaos, light broke forth, a brilliance so powerful that the shadows shrieked and pulled back. Daniel fell to the ground as the chains melted away. From the light, a voice spoke, not loud, yet shaking all creation. "Daniel, why are you afraid?" Daniel lifted his eyes. The figure stood, robed in white, with a face brighter than the Sunday love and judgment radiated from him at the same time. Daniel could not speak. The figure extended a hand. "I am the one your mother prayed to. I am the one you ignored in your pride. I am the Alpha and the Omega. Daniel, I am Jesus." At his name, The shadows howled and retreated into the abyss, their cries echoing into endless darkness. Daniel wept. "Lord, I do not deserve to be here. I have wasted my life. I am not worthy." Jesus looked upon him with eyes that saw everything, every failure, every secret sin, every moment of pride, and every hidden tear. Yet those eyes also burned with mercy. "You are right," Jesus said gently in the darkness where Daniel was standing with him. "You are not worthy, but my blood makes the unworthy free. I have called you to see what few have seen, so that you may return and tell them, for the time is short, and many walk the path that leads to destruction." Daniel trembled, unable to believe what he heard. "Return? You mean I will live?" Before Jesus answered, a roar split the sky. The abyss opened wider, and from its depths rose a monstrous figure, taller than mountains, cloaked in fire and shadow. Its voice shook the air. "No," the beast roared. "He is mine. His sins condemn him. The wages of sin is death." Daniel's heart froze in terror. He could feel the truth of those words. His sins were many. The beast's chains rattled, ready to drag him down forever. But Jesus raised his hand. "The wages of sin is death, but I have paid the price. You cannot take what is mine." Lightning flashed. The beast shrieked as a sword of light appeared in Christ's hand. With a single strike, he split the chains and cast the monster back into the abyss. The cries of the damned echoed as the pit closed. Silence returned. Only the gentle light remained. Daniel fell to his face, sobbing. "Lord, why me? Why show me this?" Jesus lifted him up. "Because you were deaf while you lived, but now you have heard. You were blind, but now you will see. Daniel, I will show you what awaits the souls of men, so you may return and speak, for the time of my coming is near." Daniel's tears flowed freely as he clung to the words, "I will tell them, Lord. I will not be silent." Jesus looked into the distance. The horizon split open to reveal two paths, one glowing with a light that no shadow could touch, the other dark and endless, filled with cries of despair. "Then follow me," Jesus said, "for you must see both." Daniel hesitated, his heart pounding. The voices of the damned called his name from the dark path, while the songs of the redeemed rose from the path of light. He was caught in the tension of eternity itself. As he stepped forward, Jesus spoke once more. "What you will see now is hidden from the living. Few believe, but all will one day stand where you stand." The world trembled as the journey beyond began. Daniel followed Jesus. The light around him was so bright, yet Daniel could walk without fear. The ground under them felt like glass, clear and endless. Ahead, the two paths stretched wide, one shining, one covered in shadows. Jesus spoke, his voice calm but strong. "Daniel, every soul must choose. No man can walk both paths. One leads to life, one leads to death." Daniel looked at the path of light. He saw people walking with joy, their faces glowing with peace. Songs of praise filled the air. But when he turned to the path of darkness, his heart sank. People walked chained together. Their cries were filled with pain. The shadows dragged them down deeper with every step. Daniel whispered, "Lord, it is terrible. Why do they walk that way?" Jesus answered, "Because they love darkness more than light. I called them, but they refused. They heard my voice, but they closed their ears. Now the path they chose will not release them." Daniel wept as he watched. Among the crowd, he saw faces he knew, friends, neighbors, even people from his own family. Some reached toward him, crying, "Help us!" But shadows pulled them back. "Lord," Daniel cried out, "why them? Can they not be saved now?" Jesus looked at him with sorrow. While they lived, mercy was open. But after death comes judgment. No soul can change its path once the last breath has left. Daniel followed Jesus. The light around him was so bright, yet Daniel could walk without fear. The ground under them felt like glass, clear and endless. Ahead, the two paths stretched wide, one shining, one covered in shadows. Jesus spoke, his voice calm but strong. Daniel, every soul must choose. No man can walk both paths. One leads to life, one leads to death. Daniel looked at the path of light. He saw people walking with joy, their faces glowing with peace. Songs of praise filled the air. But when he turned to the path of darkness, his heart sank. People walked chained together. Their cries were filled with pain. The shadows dragged them down deeper with every step. Daniel whispered, "Lord, it is terrible. Why do they walk that way?" Jesus answered, "Because they loved darkness more than light. I called them, but they refused. They heard my voice, but they closed their ears. Now the path they chose will not release them." Daniel wept as he watched. Among the crowd he saw faces. He knew friends, neighbors, even people from his own family. Some reached toward him, crying, "Help us!" But shadows pulled them back. "Lord," Daniel cried out, "why them? Can they not be saved now?" Jesus looked at him with sorrow. While they lived, mercy was open, but after death comes judgment. No soul can change its path once the last breath has left. The truth struck Daniel like a sword. He fell to his knees, trembling. "Lord, I wasted so much time. I never told them. I thought I had tomorrow." Jesus placed a hand on him. "That is why I show you this. Speak while there is still time. Many live as if tomorrow is promised, but only I hold the keys to life and death." Suddenly, the ground shook. From the dark path came a roar louder than thunder. The shadows rose, forming armies of twisted beings. Their eyes burned with hate. Their cries were like knives cutting through the air. One of them pointed at Daniel. "This soul cannot return. He belongs to us." They rushed forward, a storm of darkness ready to consume him. Daniel cried out in fear, "Lord, save me!" But Jesus stood firm. His face shone brighter than the sunday. He raised his hand, and from his mouth came words like fire. "It is finished." At once, light burst from him like a flood. The army of shadows screamed as they were thrown back into the pit. Lightning tore the sky. The darkness shook and crumbled. Daniel fell flat on his face, unable to lift his head. The power of Jesus was beyond all he had ever imagined. Then a voice, deeper than oceans, rolled across the heavens. "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. All judgment has been given into his hands." Daniel trembled. He knew this was the voice of the Father. Jesus lifted him gently. "Stand, Daniel. You are not here to be destroyed. You are here to see." Daniel stood weakly. His eyes turned once more to the path of light. There, he saw angels walking with the redeemed. Their robes were pure and shining. Joy overflowed from them like rivers. Then his eyes moved to the dark path. He saw demons dragging souls into fire, their screams filling the air. The contrast was too great, too painful. "Lord," Daniel said, "I do not understand. Why show me both?" Jesus looked at him with fire in his eyes. "Because you must tell them. Many are asleep. They live as if there is no eternity. But look, Daniel, look, and do not forget." The sky opened. Daniel was lifted high above the two paths. From above, he saw countless souls walking. Some turned to light, but many more filled the road of darkness. His heart broke. "Lord," Daniel cried, "must so many be lost?" Jesus answered, "The road to destruction is wide, and many choose it, but the road to life is narrow, and few find it. This truth has not changed, but I have sent you back so more may choose life. As he spoke, thunder shook again. A shadow rose from the abyss, larger than before, wings of darkness stretching wide. Its voice thundered, "No, he will not return. If he speaks, many will believe. He must stay here." Daniel felt chains rise again, wrapping around him. He was pulled toward the darkness with crushing force. He screamed, "Lord, help me." Jesus stepped forward. His eyes blazed with fire. With one word, he broke the chains. "Mine." The shadow shrieked and fell back, vanishing into the pit. Silence filled the air again. Daniel collapsed, shaking and weeping. He knew now that the battle for souls was real, fierce, and eternal. Jesus lifted him once more. "Daniel, there is more to see. Heaven waits, and hell burns. You must carry this message back, for the hour is later than men think." Daniel nodded, though his body trembled. His heart burned with both fear and hope. He knew his journey was far from over. Daniel walked beside Jesus. His steps felt heavy after what he had seen, but the Lord's presence gave him strength. Ahead, the sky opened, and a door of pure light stood wide. A sound like rushing water poured out. Jesus said, "Look, Daniel, this is the joy prepared for those who loved me." Daniel stepped forward, and his eyes widened. He saw a city shining with gold. The streets were clear as crystal. Towers sparkled like jewels. From the center of the city came a river of living water, flowing with light. On both sides of the river grew trees with leaves that glowed like fireflies, healing everything they touched. Multitudes sang together, voices so beautiful they filled Daniel's soul with peace. Angels flew above, their wings shining like silver. Children laughed, running freely without fear. "Lord," Daniel whispered, tears running down his face. "It is too wonderful," Jesus smiled. "This is home. This is the place I prepared for my people. No more pain, no more tears, no more death, only joy in my Father's presence forever." Daniel saw the redeemed. Some had been poor on earth, but here they wore crowns. Some had suffered much, but now their faces shone brighter than the sunday. He saw people from every tribe, every nation, all worshiping together as one family. He whispered, "Lord, I want to stay here." But Jesus' eyes grew serious. "You cannot stay yet, Daniel. You must see the other side, and then you must return." Suddenly, the light faded. A cold wind swept over him. The song of heaven grew distant. Now he stood before a great chasm, deep and endless. From it rose smoke and screams that shook his heart. "Lord," Daniel's voice trembled, "what is this place?" Jesus looked with sorrow. "This is the place prepared for the devil and his angels. But many who rejected me will also come here." Daniel peered into the darkness. He saw fire rising like waves. Chains rattled as souls cried out in pain, their faces twisted with regret. Yet none could escape. Demons moved among them, mocking and tormenting. Daniel covered his ears, but the cries pierced through. "Lord, it is too much! Please do not let me look!" But Jesus touched his shoulder. "You must see, Daniel. My people must know the truth. They must understand what waits for those who refuse my gift of life." Through the smoke, Daniel saw figures he recognized, men and women who had lived proudly, mocking the name of Jesus. Now they screamed for mercy, but mercy was gone. One soul cried, "Just a drop of water, just one moment of peace." But there was none. Another cried, "If only I had listened. If only I had turned back when I had the chance." Daniel wept until his strength was gone. "Lord, why? Why would they choose this?" Jesus answered with deep sorrow. "Because they loved the world more than me. Because they hardened their hearts when I called. I gave them the way, but they refused to walk it." Suddenly, a roar rose from the pit. The same shadow that had attacked before rose again, larger and darker, wings stretching like storm clouds. Its voice shook the ground. "These souls are mine. They chose me. You cannot take them now." The demons cheered, their cries echoing in the flames. But Jesus stepped forward, his face shining with holy fire. His voice thundered, "The gates of hell shall not prevail over my church." The shadow fell back with a scream. The demons trembled and scattered. For a moment, silence returned, broken only by the cries of the lost. Jesus turned to Daniel. His eyes burned with love and sorrow together. "Now you have seen. Heaven waits for those who believe. Hell waits for those who reject. Daniel, you must return. Speak with fire in your heart. Warn them. Tell them the truth before it is too late." Daniel shook, his heart breaking with both hope and fear. He knew his mission was not small. "Lord," he whispered, "I am weak. Who will listen to me?" Jesus laid his hand on him. "You will not speak alone. My spirit will be with you, and the words you carry are not your own, they are mine." Daniel nodded, though his tears still fell. The visions of heaven and hell burned in his mind, carved forever into his soul. And then Jesus pointed to the horizon. A great trumpet sound filled the air, shaking earth and sky. Daniel looked up and saw the heavens splitting open. The king was coming. The trumpet blast shook Daniel to his very core. The sky tore open like a curtain, and the stars trembled. From the heavens came a blinding light far brighter than the sunday. Daniel shielded his eyes, but his soul felt the pull of glory. He heard countless voices cry out, "Behold, the king is coming!" He looked, and there was Jesus, not as the gentle guide who walked beside him, but as the mighty King of Kings. His face shone like lightning, his eyes like fire. On his head were many crowns, and in his hand a sword of light that cut through the darkness. The armies of heaven followed him, clothed in white, riding on horses of glory. Angels filled the sky like endless waves, their voices declaring, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty." Daniel trembled. "Lord, is this the end?" Jesus' voice thundered across heaven and earth. "This is the day that will surely come. No one knows the hour, but when it comes, every eye shall see, every tongue shall confess, and every knee shall bow before me." Below, Daniel saw the nations of earth. Some lifted their hands in worship, their faces shining with joy. Others hid in terror, crying out for the mountains to fall on them. The proud were humbled. The strong fell like grass before the wind. Then Daniel saw books being opened. Angels recorded every word, every deed, every choice. He heard Jesus declare, "The time has come. My reward is with me, to give each one according to what they have done." The trumpet sounded again, and the dead rose from the ground. Graves burst open. Seas gave up their dead. Daniel saw the righteous clothed in white robes, their faces filled with joy as they ran toward the king. But he also saw those who had rejected him, chained in sorrow, unable to stand in his glory. Daniel fell to his knees, shaking. "Lord, it is too much. Who can stand in this day?" Jesus turned to him, his face both fierce and full of mercy. "Those who are covered by my blood, those who held fast to my name, those who loved not their lives even unto death, they will stand." The vision burned into Daniel's heart. He felt both awe and fear, both hope and trembling. And then Jesus touched him once more. "Daniel, it is not yet your time. You must return. Speak what you have seen. Warn them of hell. Tell them of heaven. Announce my coming. And above all, lead them to me." The light grew brighter. The sound of the trumpet thundered again. Daniel cried out, "Lord, how can I carry this? I am only a man." Jesus' eyes met his, steady and strong. "You are not alone. My spirit will be with you. Speak, and I will give life to your words." Suddenly, Daniel felt himself falling, pulled back, through the darkness, through the valley, through the shadows. He gasped and opened his eyes. He was back on the hospital bed. The doctors around him gasped. Machines beeped wildly. One shouted, "He's back! He's alive!" Daniel's chest rose and fell. Tears streamed down his face. He whispered, voice weak but full of fire, "Jesus is coming. I saw him. I saw heaven and hell." The room fell silent. Nurses leaned close. Family members held their breath. Daniel's eyes burned with the memory of what he had seen. He raised his trembling hand and whispered, "Listen, there is no time to waste. Heaven is real. Hell is real. And Jesus is coming soon. Are you ready? Jesus is coming soon."